And let's try to run through analyzing one more thing before we wrap it up. And because I promised you there were some things hidden, and we just talked about a couple of things, but there's one more set of things that are hidden here that I think that will help you as you're going through your Ikigai exercise, and not just filling out a bunch of bubbles with stuff, but actually looking at that when you're having some struggles or some doubts in what you're doing from day to day, week to week, month to month. So let's look at that for a second and learn how to balance the forces of interest, intent, and integration in our lives using the same exact framework that you will have now invested in to build your Ikigai spheres. So real quick, this is the model again. And what I wanted to point out here is between enjoying and earning, we really have this notion of kind of an axis of reward, right? We have inner rewards from enjoying things and outer rewards from earning. We also have, between skill and service, we have an inner impact of building your skills and an outer impact of serving others. So we have this notion of inner versus outer directions on these two different axes. I call them the axes of interest because these are your spheres of interest. But the reason to show this is because it's not that one side is better, inner versus outer is better than the other. It's that what's probably going to get you the best results and the best feeling about your results is when these are pretty close to being imbalanced between inner and outer. And conveniently, that tends to intersect right at Thrive. So when you're thinking about your how things are going with your pursuit of your purpose that you have identified through your Ikigai, and it feels like it's off, one thing to look at is, even though you put a bunch of stuff on this figure, are you accidentally or just through happenstance like over-focused on the enjoying side and not enough on the earning, or vice versa, or over-focused on the skill side and not the service side, or vice versa? Maybe for good reasons, right? But that may be the source. And if you wanted to rebalance that, you might choose some things to focus on the other side of that inner-outer axis, whether it be impact or reward. And I hope that will help you not just use Ikigai as a one-off to decide what your purpose is, but also to use this notion combined with that to help guide you over time as real life happens and you get off center in some fashion, off of your core Thrive. How can you think about how to rebalance it? Now, interestingly, this same pattern exists a couple more times in the Ikigai framework, and let's look at that real quick. So it turns out the pairings, the flow, mission, value, and profession, also have the same notion of like an inner versus outer, right? So your mission versus your profession, well, a profession is kind of an outer direction, right? And your mission is more inner direction. And if you're in the flow state, that's more of an inner focus. And if you're in the value state, that's more of an outer focus. And again, you can use those as just a technique to think about, are you balanced across these, or at least balanced enough? And I call these the axis of intent. We're intending to be on our mission, we're intending to be on our profession, we're intending to get into a flow state, we're intending to produce value. And we actually have one final time. We have drive versus survive is kind of your motive. What's powering you? I'm driving, or I'm just surviving. And they're both important. And again, I would encourage you to think about this when you're thinking about when you've got three but not the fourth one. Did you sort of just drift away from doing one of the four things? And maybe you need to bring that back in to get yourself back in balance across there. The same thing is true between craft and grind. It's your essence, right? Are you essentially like building up your craft and your craftsmanship and something you can take pride in like that? Or are you grinding out, producing, and serving? And again, those both have their place. It's not that one is bad and one is good. And just not doing, for an extended period of time, one a lot more than the other is where you're going to start to feel like your balance is. I call these the axes of integration. And that's really it for the secrets reveal that I promised. So let's thrive together. And I got a couple notions of what's next that I'd like to promote to you. The first one is I'd like to promote the Leaders Guild community, and join us there. In the Leaders Guild community, we cultivate leaders. We share transformative experiences, all with the intent of accelerating growth. I share additional content there, and there's a great bunch of folks there from across industries and experience levels that you can connect with. And I'd also encourage you to subscribe to my free weekly Leadership Superpowers newsletter. I drop knowledge here every week. I try to keep it very tight. Short reads, 5 minutes, maybe 10, but more like 5. I use this newsletter to help leaders supercharge their careers with insights that come out of my courses or lead to my courses, or I provide free resources and other things. So a lot goes on here, including early looks sometimes at new things I'm doing, or announcements, so you can get aware of them first. And so with that, we'll end here. And thank you for joining and watching to the end. So go thrive in purpose using your next level knowledge of Ikigai. And I hope to see you around. Cheers.